Pick a candle with me and do it before your mind starts arguing with your heart. Your choice reveals a pattern you repeat without noticing, the way you walk around the truths that hurt, the needs you mute, the changes you keep for later. In Jung-style psychology, symbols are the language of the unconscious, and a small light like this can show what you are finally ready to see. This is a gentle Jungian test, not a cold diagnosis. It does not judge you. It simply holds up a mirror to how you deal with discomfort, desire, endings, and new beginnings. Maybe you stay busy so you do not have to feel. Maybe you smile so you do not have to say no. Maybe you plan every little thing so you do not have to admit you are scared. Tonight I want to sit with you in that space and help you look at what you avoid with more kindness than you have ever given yourself before. Now pause the noise in your mind and play a small game with me. Look at the 5 candles on the screen and notice which one your body chooses first. Do not overthink. Choose one candle from 1 to 5 and lock it in like a quiet secret between us. First sensation is greater than logic here, so trust the pull more than the story. Keep your number safe. We are going to open it together in a moment. In a moment, I will start reading what each candle says about the truth you tend to avoid, but I do not want this to be just something interesting that you hear and then forget. I want it to land gently, like a soft light in a room you kept half dark, and then move with you into real life. So stay with me, because at the end of this Jungian test, I will connect your candle with one clear step you can actually take. We will bring the insight down from the screen into your day, so that the truth you avoid stops being a ghost and becomes something you can touch and gently change. You will only feel the full meaning of your choice when you stay until the last moments, because the final connection between all 5 candles is where your pattern truly appears. Only there you will see how the thing you keep running from is also the doorway to the version of you that feels more honest, lighter, and quietly brave. Stay here with me until we blow out the last flame, and let this be the moment you stop looking away from yourself and start walking toward your own truth. Let every word you hear be an invitation, not a rule, and remember that you are allowed to move slowly and still be moving in the right direction. Forward with your hand on this light soft. If you chose one, this often shows up when you are the one who keeps everything standing while telling yourself it is not a big deal. Look at this red candle in your mind. For a second, the wax has melted and dried in thick layers all down the side, and yet the flame is still strong. That is you, warm, steady there for everyone. In simple Jung-style language, this candle holds the archetype of the inner parent, the one who stays awake so others can sleep. The light is your care, your power, your reliable heart. The dripping wax is the cost you rarely admit, the late nights, the hidden stress, the silent feeling that no one really sees how much you hold. Stay with me, because this is not here to blame you. It is here to put gentle light on the truth you usually push aside, that you are tired of being the only strong one. Notice how this pattern plays out in small moments. Imagine a day at work or at school. You already have your own tasks, but a co-worker or friend says they are overwhelmed. Before your brain even finishes the sentence, you hear yourself say, "I can take that if you want." You stay late, you fix the problem, you send the extra message. Everyone is grateful and they mean it. On the way home, you feel a mix of pride and heaviness. You scroll on your phone to shut it off. Tell yourself tomorrow will be lighter, but somehow tomorrow looks the same. Or at home, a family member expects you to organize, remember, plan. If you do it, things run smoothly. If you do not, everything feels messy. So you step in again. It feels easier to burn yourself than to watch things fall apart. This is the loop. The red candle is showing you a life where you give more energy than you receive and call it normal. From a gentle Jungian view, your shadow here is not laziness or coldness. It is the part of you that wants to drop the weight and rest. That side of you might seem selfish or lazy in your mind, so you push it down, but it keeps leaking out in small ways, in irritability, in daydreams about running away, in fantasies where someone finally takes care of you for once. You long to be the one who leans instead of always being the wall. The truth you avoid is that you cannot keep pouring forever without refilling. The ego says, "I must be useful," or "I am nothing." The deeper self whispers, "I want to be loved for my being, not only for my doing." When you listen only to the first voice, the candle keeps burning until the wax is all gone. When you start to hear the second voice, you realize the flame can stay bright if you protect it. Stay with me, because here is where it starts to turn. The red of this candle is not only stress, it is also life force, passion, blood. You have a huge capacity to love and to lead. The point is not to stop caring. The point is to care in a way that includes you. Think of one area of your life where you quietly hope someone will notice you are at your limit, but you never actually say it out loud. That is the doorway this candle is pointing toward. The moment you speak that truth even softly, you step out of the old role of silent hero and into a more balanced place where you are human and still worthy. Today, choose one request or one habit where you would usually automatically say yes and instead pause and give an honest answer, even if it is small. It might sound like I can help but only with this part, or I love you, but I am tired tonight, or I need a little time before I decide. Say it once and let it stand without taking it back. This will feel strange, because you are used to stretching past your edge, but notice what happens when you do not. The world does not end. People may adjust, and somewhere inside you a deep, quiet part finally believes you when you say you matter too. Every time you do this, the wax builds up more slowly. The flame of your life feels warmer, not just for others, but also for you. If you chose to, this tends to appear when your feelings are louder than your words, and you keep living in between what you want and what you dare to show. Picture this candle for a moment, a cool blue flame on thick wax slowly melting down the sides. It looks calm, almost soothing, but there is a lot going on underneath. In a simple Jungian way, this is the image of desire and fear sitting in the same body. The light is your longing to be known, to speak, to connect. The heavy wax is all the times you swallowed what you felt so nobody could call you dramatic or too sensitive. Your unconscious chose a candle that says, I am not as fine as I look, but I do not know how to say it without shaking. Stay with me here, because this is not a flaw, it is a pattern that once kept you safe. Think about a night when your phone is in your hand and your heart is in your throat. Maybe you want to text someone you miss, or ask a friend if they are upset with you, or tell a crush that you actually care. You type the message, you feel the blue flame flare up for a second, bright and brave. Then your mind rushes in with all the what-if thoughts. What if they pull away? What if I sound needy? What if I am reading this wrong? You erase, rewrite, erase again. 10 minutes pass, then 20. At the end, you send a neutral version or nothing at all. On the outside, everything stays peaceful. Inside, another drop of wax slides down the candle you saved yourself from possible rejection, but you also rejected your own truth. Notice this loop, because it is where you lose energy without even seeing it. In pop psychology words, you might call this emotional avoidance, but in Jung test language, we could say your shadow is the part of you that has big feelings and wants to be seen in them. Maybe you learned early that strong emotions made people uncomfortable, so you became the cool one, the listener, the one who smiles and says it is no big deal. The truth you avoid is that it is a big deal to you. You care more than you let on. That caring is not weakness, it is your fire. When you ignore it, it does not disappear, it just goes underground. It shows up as overthinking, as scrolling late at night, as replaying conversations, as sudden waves of sadness you cannot explain. Here is the twist: your feelings are not trying to ruin your life. They are trying to guide you toward what actually matters. Every time you mute them, you step a little further away from yourself. Stay with me and imagine the same scene again, but with one tiny difference. You still feel nervous, your hands are still a little shaky, but instead of erasing your words, you breathe and admit, I am scared, and I am still going to be honest. That moment when you choose truth over safety is the point where your blue candle stops being just a light in a dark room and becomes a signal to the world, this is who I am. Sometimes people will meet you in that place, sometimes they will not. Either way, you are no longer abandoning yourself to keep everyone else comfortable. That is shadow work in the simplest form, not fighting your tenderness, but giving it a place at the table. Today, give yourself 10 to 20 minutes to take one clear step toward emotional honesty. Pick one situation where you have been pretending you do not care as much as you do. Sit down with your phone or a notebook and write exactly what you feel about it, uncensored, as if nobody would ever see it. Then decide on one small piece of that truth you are willing to share with a real person or with your future self in a voice note. Send the message or record the note before the time is up. It does not have to be perfect, it just has to be real. When you do this, you are training your nervous system to handle being seen. The blue flame inside you gets a little steadier, a little taller, and slowly the truth you avoid becomes the truth you can live with, breathe with, and even build a softer, more honest life around. If you chose 3, it often means you keep yourself small and smooth, so nobody has a reason to walk away, and that quiet shape of you is starting to hurt. Look at this purple candle in your mind. The flame is bright and almost mystical, but the wax has slid down in long frozen drops like it has been holding that light together for a long time. In a simple Jung test way, this is the image of a persona, the role of the good friend, the good partner, the good co-worker, the one who adapts, so the room stays calm. The light is your real self, full of color and intuition. The dripping wax is all the tiny times you have said it is fine when it was not fine at all. Your pattern is to avoid your own needs, so conflict stays far away, and love feels safer, even if it also feels thinner. Imagine a scene at work or in class. A group is choosing a time for a meeting or a deadline. Inside, you know which option would protect your rest or your study time. You feel a small spike in your chest when someone suggests a schedule that will drain you. But before the feeling even finishes, you hear yourself saying, "Whatever works for you, all is okay." Everyone moves on. Later, you are the one staying late or waking up early, and you tell yourself you chose this, so you have no right to complain. Here is the twist. Your outer choice was yes, but your inner truth was no. You did not just protect the group from discomfort, you also protected yourself from the risk of being seen as difficult. That is the avoidance underneath the politeness. And you do this more often than you like to admit, when picking restaurants, when planning weekends, when choosing shows, when deciding how long a call will be. Your life slowly fills with other people's preferences until you no longer know what your own actually feel like. From a pop psychology view, this looks like people-pleasing. In Jungian language, it is a survival persona built to keep belonging. Somewhere earlier in your story, you may have learned that your anger was dangerous, your sadness was heavy, your desires were inconvenient. So you edited yourself. You became the easy one, the understanding one, the one who listens and adapts. This gave you love and safety, but it also pushed your shadow into the dark. In that shadow lives the side of you that wants to choose loudly, that wants to say, "I do not like this," or "I prefer that," without feeling guilty. When that side has no voice, it sneaks out as resentment, as sudden withdrawal, as fantasies of disappearing from everyone for a while. Watch what happens next, when you start to see these reactions not as random mood swings, but as signals from the part of you that is tired of being last on your own list. Your purple candle is not here to tell you to become selfish or harsh. It is inviting you to bring some of that hidden self into the light, so your kindness stops feeling like self-sacrifice and starts feeling like a real choice. The truth you have been avoiding is simple and brave. My needs count too. Every time you honor that truth even a little, the wax of old habits softens and your flame stands taller. Other people may need a moment to adjust, but the ones who truly care will learn the real you and not just the persona that protects them from discomfort. Today, choose one specific area of your week where you usually go along with whatever is suggested and make a clear decision before anyone asks. It could be how you spend one evening, what you eat on a certain day, or whether you show up to a plan that drains you. Write that decision down in one sentence and then communicate it to the person or group involved without over-explaining. Let yourself feel the nervousness and still stand by your choice. This small commitment is you practicing a new pattern where you stay present as yourself instead of melting around everyone else's expectations. Each time you do this, the purple candle inside you burns a little more for you, and not only for the room. If you chose 4, it often means a part of you is always on guard, afraid that if you relax for 1 second, something or someone important will slip out of your hands. Picture this golden candle, the flame strong and steady, the wax running down like melted armor. It looks warm and safe, but also a little tense, like it has been burning without a break. In a simple Jungian way, this is the symbol of the inner guardian, the part of you that protects by planning, by watching, by staying one step ahead. The light is your love, your sense of duty, your sharp mind. The heavy wax is all the moments you did not let yourself rest, just in case. You want to trust life, but you also do not want to be surprised again. So you stand half in control, half in fear, and this is the truth you usually avoid admitting even to yourself. Think about something as small as making plans with someone you care about. A friend suggests meeting up and right away your brain starts running numbers, traffic timing, money, the mood they might be in. You check the weather, the route, the opening hours, and you send 3 careful messages to confirm. If they take a bit too long to answer, you feel the flame in your chest flicker. Maybe you reread what you wrote, maybe you add a smiley, maybe you think they changed their mind. Part of you wants to cancel first, so you will not feel rejected later. You probably do this more than you realize, not only with plans, but with work projects, family visits, even simple text conversations. On the outside, you call it being organized or responsible. On the inside, there is a quiet sentence that says, "If I do not stay on top of everything, it will all fall apart and I will be left alone again." Notice this pattern because it is your mind trying to protect the softest part of you, the one that hates feeling out of control. From a pop psychology angle, people might say you have control issues, but that sounds harsh and does not honor how this pattern began. In a gentle Jung test view, your shadow is the vulnerable self that once felt blindsided, maybe by sudden conflict, sudden loss, sudden change. That self decided, "I will never be that unprepared again." So you learn to read the room plan for every outcome and manage not only your own feelings, but often everyone else's schedule and comfort too. The truth you avoid is that no matter how much you plan, you cannot prevent every pain, and trying to do so is slowly burning you out. Here is the twist. The more you grip, the less you actually enjoy the things you are working so hard to keep safe. The dinner becomes about the timing, not the laughter. The relationship becomes about monitoring tiny signs, not about feeling present. The job becomes about not failing rather than growing. Stay with me because this is where your candle starts to change meaning. That steady golden flame inside you is not wrong. Your ability to think ahead, to protect, to create structure is a real gift. The work now is shadow work in its simplest form, letting the softer, fearful parts of you speak without letting them drive every choice. Boundaries are a key word here, not just boundaries with other people, but boundaries with your own anxiety. When your mind starts spinning stories, you can learn to say thank you for trying to keep me safe and still choose a calmer response. Watch what happens next in your life when you experiment with trusting people a little more and micromanaging them a little less. Some connections will deepen because there is more breathing room. Others may fade and that will hurt, but it will also show you who was there only as long as you carried everything. Today, choose one situation where you would normally overplan or overmanage and give a clear yes or no that protects your energy instead of your fear. Say yes to going if you actually want to go, and then stop checking your phone every minute. Or say no to taking on one extra task at work and let the silence after that answer exist without rushing to fill it. Do this once on purpose, and notice that the world keeps turning. Your worth does not drop, your life does not explode. With each honest yes and honest no, the wax of old controls slowly melts away and your golden candle becomes less of a guard tower and more of a soft light you can actually live by. If you chose 5, it often means there is a wild, honest part of you that is done living the same scene on repeat and is already pushing for a new chapter, even when you pretend you are not ready. Look at this candle in your mind, a cool, bright flame on a tall blue body wax, frozen in motion like a wave that was about to crash and then stopped. It carries both calm and electricity. In a simple Jung-style way, this is the symbol of transformation that has been waiting for too long. Your unconscious picked the candle of the path changer, the person who feels the truth of a needed shift, but keeps delaying the moment of no return. The light is your courage, the part of you that knows you cannot keep shrinking into old habits. The heavy wax is every excuse, every distraction, every almost that kept you safe and stuck at the same time. You are not lazy. You are standing at the doorway between who you have been for others and who you are finally willing to be for yourself. Imagine a very normal evening. You are on your bed or at your desk, phone in hand screen glowing. There is a tab open for a course or a job or a move you keep thinking about. There is a half-written message to someone you need to have an honest talk with, a friend who crossed a line, a partner you have outgrown, a person you want to meet for real. You scroll, you type a few words, you erase them. You tell yourself now is not the right time, you will feel clearer tomorrow, you just need more signs. While you wait, weeks slide past. The same complaint stays in your chest, the same dream stays in your head, and life keeps looking almost right, but not quite. That is the pattern this candle is showing you, the habit of circling the truth instead of stepping into it. You know something has to change, and you also fear what will happen to your comfort, your image, your relationships once you move. In simple pop psychology, you could call this fear of change, but there is something more sacred happening. In Jung terms, this is the call of individuation, the slow, brave process of becoming who you really are instead of the role you were assigned. One side of you is the caretaker of the old life. It worries about disappointing people and losing ground. Another side is the inner pioneer who is bored with your own excuses and wants air. You have tried to shut that side down, yet it keeps coming back in bursts of inspiration, in sudden fantasies of a different city, a different body, rhythm, a different way of loving. Here is your mini climax. You cannot unknow what you already know about yourself. Every time you pretend the knowledge is not there, your energy sinks. Every time you admit it, even for a moment, you feel a rush of aliveness and also terror. Both are signs that this is real. The truth you avoid is not just "I want something different," it is "I am someone different now, and that version of me deserves space." Integration does not mean burning your past or judging the old you. It means letting the part that longs for change sit at the same table as the part that fears it, and still choosing one clear step forward. When you do that, the flame of this candle stops being just a mood and starts becoming direction. Others may not fully understand at first, but your soul will. Today, send or schedule one small but irreversible signal that matches the change you already feel inside. Write and send the message that moves a relationship closer or brings it to a clean end. Or book the appointment that supports your next stage, or take a bag and remove from your room a group of objects that belong to an old version of you, and actually let them go. Do it within the next short stretch of time before your mind starts bargaining. When you take that step, you cross a quiet inner line. You show your unconscious that this is not only a fantasy anymore. The fear will still speak, but so will a new voice, a steady one that says, "This time I chose myself, and I did not turn back." No matter which candle you chose, the red, the blue, the purple, the gold, or the cool shifting flame, there is one thread running through all of them. You have built clever ways to stand close to your truth without fully stepping into it. Maybe you hide behind taking care of everyone else. Maybe you smooth your feelings so nobody sees how deep they go. Maybe you keep the peace at any cost. Maybe you manage everything so you never feel helpless. Maybe you circle change instead of entering it. Different colors, same movement, a dance between fear and desire, a pattern of avoidance that once kept you safe and now keeps you a little stuck. In simple Jungian language, each candle is a symbol of how your ego protects you and how your shadow waits behind the light, asking to be welcomed in so you can become more whole. In this Jung-style pop psychology way, the candles are not random decor. They are tiny mirrors of your inner world. Fire has always meant awareness in myth and dreams, the moment something that was hidden becomes visible. Your candle shows where that awareness wants to grow next. For some of you, the light falls on exhaustion. You finally see how much you carry. For others, it falls on feelings you keep editing, on needs you keep postponing, on control that hides old fear, or on a hunger for change you keep calling a phase. When the unconscious cannot speak in plain words, it sends images and patterns. That is why you feel a pull toward one symbol and not the others. Part of you recognizes itself there, even if your mind cannot explain why. There is something important here. You are not broken for using these patterns. They were the best tools you had at the time. Overgiving once kept you loved. Hiding emotion once kept you safe. Pleasing once kept the house peaceful. Controlling once kept chaos away. Delaying change once kept you from a shock you were not ready to handle. The problem only appears when the old tools keep running your life long after their job is done. Jung would say that what we refuse to face does not disappear. It sinks and pulls the strings from the dark. Integration sounds fancy, but it is simple. You let the part you avoid sit next to the part you show, and you stop calling one of them wrong. So, as this reading closes, I want you to notice what is moving inside you right now. Maybe it is a soft sadness. maybe a quiet relief, maybe a small flare of courage. Do not rush past it. This is the place where a new chapter begins, not in huge, dramatic choices, but in tiny, honest movements, repeated on purpose. The real test starts after this video, when life hands you the next familiar scene. The extra favor, you always say yes to the feeling, you usually swallow the plan. You normally manage the decision you keep postponing, and you remember your candle. In that instant, you have a chance to do one thing even slightly differently, and that is where your pattern starts to loosen. Today, choose one situation that matches your candle and write it down in one clear sentence, then write a second sentence that says what you will do differently this time and commit to acting on it within the next day. Keep those two lines where you will see them and let them be a small contract between you and your own soul. When you follow through, even in a modest way, you show your unconscious that the light you touched here is not just for the screen, it is for your actual life. That is how an ending turns into a beginning, how a quiet symbol becomes a living choice, and how you slowly move from the truth you avoid to the truth you inhabit. If you made it all the way here, take this as a sign that a part of you is really ready to look at yourself with more honesty and more kindness. Do not let that part go back to sleep. Comment your number and leave your name so your choice does not stay only inside your head, but becomes a little promise you make to yourself. Tell me which candle you picked and what truth it touched in you, even if it is just one sentence. If this Jungian test helped you feel a bit more seen, tap like as a way of saying to your own heart, yes, this matters. And if you want a gentle reminder to keep walking this inner path with me, hit subscribe so we can keep meeting here. Before you go, do one last thing for your intuition. Watch the next test on your screen now and notice which symbol calls you first. Your unconscious is still speaking.